was a massive, enormous sort of tarpaulin with a picture of Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein with their arms around each other, which had been rolled out on a public lawn outside of Windsor Castle, which has also got a ton of attention, and obviously photographed by drones, which also went everywhere. But
there's another aspect of this that we should also point out, which is that there was a very substantial, a really substantial right-wing demonstration in the streets of London. Led by a figure, in fact, a kind of Charlie Kirk-like figure in the UK, guy by the name of Tommy Robinson, which is a very, has become the young right-wing exponent. The demonstration was huge in the London streets. And Trump, were he of the mind to regard this, I think he could look at this, that his movement, the MAGA movement, led by him is having a significant impact over here.
Well, maybe he'll move on from Greenland and he'll turn his eyes to Europe and taking over Britain. I think that would play into Putin's playbook, right?
It would actually suit me, because it would be nice to be able to have a seamless border.
Well, you may end up having to stay. You may end up having to stay over there. So let's just. I was very struck when he came down the steps of Air Force One at how tightly he seemed to be holding Melania's hand. We haven't seen them together, as you're frequently pointing out, for some time, although she suddenly cropped up at the AI event that they had at the White House with all the tech leaders, where she was talking about the dangers of AI. And then we saw her at the 9/11 memorial at the Pentagon. But we haven't seen them holding hands for a bit. In fact, normally she flicks his hand.
That's why he holds it tightly. And if he doesn't hold it tightly, she'll pull it away.
She'll pull it away. And he looked as if he was half holding on for her for support getting down the stairs, which must be very stressful when you've got all those cameras on you.
And these stairs are very steep.
Yeah, I always feel sorry for the presidents running up and trying to come down them. Because
I don't know why they haven't solved that. They could have get a kind of a circular staircase and.
Well, they did solve it for Joe Biden, right? Which is they put it in the middle of the aircraft and they gave him shallower stairs. But you think these things are slippy. I'm sure I would fall both up and down them. So I have some sympathy. But
it's been very windy in London, so he could be. Well, it would have to be a big wind to.
Big wind to move.
Sweep him away.
All right, so he's held on to Melania. He's got to the bottom of the step, met by the protocol officer, and he's helicoptered off to Winfield House, where he's with the ambassador. What's happened since then?
Tonight there is this white tie dinner. I've actually never heard of a white tie dinner, but apparently that's
they're even smarter than black tie.
It's a royal thing. And it's the kind of height of the pomp of this, and a very significant formal event. It's what a state visitor gets. And one of the sidelights, the interesting things about that is that apparently this will be attended by Rupert Murdoch. Now this is kind of weird because Donald Trump is in the process of suing Rupert Murdoch, the Wall Street Journal, and which Rupert Murdoch owns, for $10 billion.
And this is over the revelation of the Epstein letter in the birthday book.
Right. So there's two interesting things about that. There was the Wall Street Journal's the Wall Street Journal first published this letter. Donald Trump said it was a hoax. But subsequent to that, the entire birthday book, all of the letters that were written Jeffrey Epstein on the occasion of his 50th birthday in 2003. All of this organized, collated by Ghislaine Maxwell. This entire book was released, and sure as shooting, there was the letter from Donald Trump, the theoretically hoax letter from Donald Trump to Jeffrey Epstein. Now, nobody else in this, of the many people who wrote Jeffrey Epstein letters, family, friends,
Leon Black, Alan Dershowitz, they're all there.
Random celebrities. Nobody else has denied the authenticity of these letters. The only one who has denied the authenticity is Donald Trump. So,
indeed, Peter Mandelson has been fired because of the authenticity of his letter.
Right, and he didn't say that's not me. So, and so we can assume that actually it's a genuine letter from Donald Trump. But he certainly has not said, okay, you got me, and withdrawn his suit. Rather, he is not only aggressively pursuing his lawsuit, but then he sued the New York, he announced he was going to sue the New York Times for also citing this letter. Now, possibly because someone near Trump said, this is, you're on sort of sinking sands here. And he did not sue them because of this letter. Instead, he turned around yesterday and sued them for some other articles that he didn't like for $15 billion, I believe.
15 billion. And for years, he argues, of articles that were just written against him.
Right. So right. In other words,
bias against him.
This is against the backdrop of after Charlie Kirk's death, saying that he is going after free speech. He doesn't call it free. He is going after leftist speech. That's what he wants to curtail. That's what he wants to regulate. Now,
hold on. Can we just go back to the spectre of this incredibly formal dinner where he will be dressed up in white tie? I'm sure we'll get details of whatever the First Lady is wearing. But he will be sitting near Rupert Murdoch. He will be eating at the same table as Rupert.
So I understand that he asked for Rupert Murdoch to be invited, and what Trump intimates have told me is because he believes that he can, quote, pressure the old man into a settlement. Rupert Murdoch is 94 years old. So if he can pressure him into a settlement, and then a person near Trump said to me that it could be an easy 10 million. So there is this kind of thing that he's now attacking free speech. I certainly in this instance as a way to collect some money for himself.
As a sort of shakedown.
Which he did for, in his suit against ABC. They settled for $15 million. A suit against CBS, they settled for $16 million, all which goes not to the United States Treasury, but to Donald Trump. And the lever here that he has against none of these suits would prevail in any court. They're specious, ridiculous. You can't even begin to take them seriously at any legal level. But he controls the United States government. So the United States government, so it's not just a lawsuit. It's just not just what happens in court. It's what these companies face in terms of interference by the United States government. So it's enormous leverage that he has over anyone that he sues and again, who he is suing on a personal basis. Again, just let me add this again, because it really is, it should not be overlooked. Never before in the modern age has has a president of the United States sued a media company. Actually, and it may be that never before in the modern age has a president sued anyone on a personal basis.
Well, and it's also worth reminding people that the head of the DOJ, Pam Bondi, was his personal lawyer, and Todd Blanche, the number 2 at the DOJ, was his personal lawyer. And of course, the minute the Wall Street Journal released, or the minute the Wall Street Journal ran the piece about Trump's birthday letter to Jeffrey Epstein, which you have always maintained was released by the Maxwell family as a shot across the bow to say, hey, Ghislaine is sitting in a unpleasant jail in Florida. Todd Blanche is on a plane 5 days after the release of the letter to interview her, and he takes 2 days interviewing her, and lo and behold, the following week, she's literally moved to a low-security jail in Texas, where she has a sister living, not in the jail in Texas.
And just to add, because I think we should keep track of this, all of these legal Trump legal issues, personal legal issues, are coordinated by a man by the name of Boris Epstein, who has been his consigliere throughout the campaign, and times actually before the campaign began, who still has essentially that client of one relationship with Trump. And he chose specifically not to come into the White House, but nevertheless coordinates all of Trump's personal legal strategies outside of the White House.